Hey Cowboys Nation! Today we are diving deep into everything you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys heading into a critical matchup with the Vikings. There's been plenty of action on the injury front, and the latest updates are starting to paint a clearer picture of who might take the field this Sunday. As we break it all down, we'll go player by player, starting with the biggest name on everyone's mind, CeeDee Lamb. Lamb returned to practice recently, although in a limited capacity as he works through the concussion protocol. From what we can gather, he seems to be making solid progress and is likely moving through the fourth stage of the five-stage process. That's a promising sign because it suggests he is trending in the right direction and the team's medical staff is comfortable with his incremental participation on the field. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer's recent remarks indicated that Lamb still has one or two more things to clear, but overall, the language was encouraging. If he continues on this trajectory, it is entirely possible we see Lamb back in action against the Vikings, which would be a massive boost for Dallas. He has been one of the most efficient receivers in the league this season, ranking in the top 5 for yards per route run, and his performance against the Lions before the concussion was nothing short of electric. A healthy Lamb changes the dynamic for this offense, and if for some reason he cannot suit up, expect a combination of George Pickens, Ryan Fennoy, and possibly a heavier dose of Jalen Tolbert, depending on how the week of practice shakes out. Moving on to Jadeveon Clowney, who has been limited in practice due to a hamstring issue. Wednesday's limited practice typically signals that things are moving in the right direction, but hamstrings can be tricky injuries that require careful management. Clowney has been a key contributor to the Cowboys' defense, and his presence on Sunday would certainly bolster the front seven. We could see him progress to a full participation mark by Friday, which would allow him to make an impact against the Vikings' offensive line that is finally rounding into form after a few injury setbacks of their own. The health of the front seven and defensive line is crucial, especially against a team like Minnesota, which has shown a variety of complex blitz packages and a strong pass-rushing front. Having Clowney at full strength gives the Cowboys a much-needed edge in containing explosive plays. Trayvon Diggs is another player generating conversation. His return remains somewhat uncertain, with Schottenheimer emphasizing the need for a ramp-up period. Diggs has been dealing with his own challenges, and while he is eager to play, the coaching staff is clearly focused on ensuring that he is fully prepared, both physically and mentally, to execute the defense at the highest level. The defense has a few new faces this season, so integration and timing are critical, and there have been some subtle signals that this could be Diggs' final season with Dallas. While the team seems to value him and want him back, there are lingering questions about chemistry, expectations, and readiness. Regardless, his eventual return would certainly strengthen the secondary, giving Dallas more flexibility in coverage schemes and helping to mitigate some of the risk from opposing quarterbacks' deep ball strategies. On the offensive line, Tyler Ton did not participate in practice due to a lingering ankle issue, making his availability for Sunday somewhat questionable. Offensive line health is always a major factor, and losing a starter or key rotational player on that front could have significant implications against a defensive unit like Minnesota's. Ton's absence would put extra pressure on Nate Thomas and others to step up, especially with the Vikings likely to test Dallas with exotic blitzes and aggressive pass rush looks. The recovery timeline for a high ankle sprain, particularly for an offensive lineman, is usually 4 to 6 weeks, so the fact that he missed practice midweek leans toward a cautious outlook for this weekend. Monitoring practice reports over the next 2 days will be essential in assessing whether the team can rely on the line to hold up against a healthy Vikings front. Several other Cowboys players were on the injury report as well. Malik Hooker did not practice for personal reasons, and while details are sparse, the expectation is that he will return soon. Jake Ferguson was limited, likely a result of the compressed schedule and accumulated fatigue from playing 3 games in 11 days, which has taken a toll on several players across the roster. Hunter Lipke and Savone Revel also saw limited action, the former dealing with a hip issue and the latter with a knee concern. These are not typically season-altering injuries, but they require careful management to ensure players can contribute without aggravating existing problems. The depth of the roster will be tested, and the coaching staff will have to balance giving players the reps they need to be ready with ensuring they're not pushed too hard before the game. The health of the team as a whole is particularly important given the stakes of this matchup. The Vikings are coming off one of their best offensive performances of the season, largely due to an improving offensive line. Dallas will need to match that level of preparation, particularly in the trenches, to contain both the running game and the passing attack. On the defensive side, having players like Clowney and potentially Diggs ready to go provides Dallas with the versatility to disguise coverages and apply pressure, which could be a difference maker in a game that promises to be closely contested. From a strategic standpoint, this week of practice is critical. How players respond in their limited or full sessions will directly influence game day decisions, from who lines up in the starting formations to how snap rotations are managed on both sides of the ball. The team's medical staff is working closely with coaches to ensure that protocols are followed without compromising competitive readiness. This balance between recovery and preparation is delicate, particularly when high-impact players are involved. Even minor injuries, when managed correctly, can be mitigated to allow for meaningful contributions without risking long-term setbacks. The attention to detail in this regard is a hallmark of a team that understands how narrow the margin for error can be in the NFL. The situation with CeeDee Lamb exemplifies this approach. Every stage of the concussion protocol he completes successfully increases confidence in his ability to perform on Sunday. Limited participation in practice is not just about gauging readiness. It's also about ensuring that the body responds well under controlled conditions before exposure to full contact scenarios. Meanwhile, the coaching staff is monitoring other key contributors, weighing the risk versus reward of activating each player based on practice performance and medical feedback. This is the type of week that can make or break a game, as small adjustments in personnel and strategy have outsized effects on outcomes. Continuing with the Cowboys' injury situation, it's important to highlight how depth and versatility are shaping the team's preparation for the Vikings. While key players like CeeDee Lamb and Jadeveon Clowney are trending toward availability, the coaching staff must plan for contingencies, especially on both sides of the ball. Limited practice appearances often disguise the nuanced evaluations the team conducts behind the scenes, from movement patterns and reaction times to conditioning and mental readiness. For example, the offensive line has seen rotation and adaptation due to Tyler Ton's ankle issue, which is particularly challenging because the Vikings are known for creative blitz packages and aggressive edge rushers. This forces the Cowboys to consider alternative schemes and protection adjustments to prevent early pressure on the quarterback, and the ripple effect extends to the running game, pass blocking, and even the timing routes in the passing attack. Nate Thomas and his fellow linemen will have a critical role, as their performance under pressure could dictate the rhythm of the offense. On the defensive side, Trayvon Diggs remains a player under careful observation. While the team has expressed optimism about his return at some point, the ramp-up period is crucial. Missing significant time not only impacts physical conditioning, but also timing, communication, and overall awareness in a complex defensive system. Diggs has to reacclimate to a secondary that has seen some shifts, with new rotations and altered responsibilities, and mastering those nuances is a priority before he takes the field. Schottemer's comments emphasize that readiness is evaluated holistically. Mental acuity and understanding the defensive playbook are just as critical as being physically healthy. This measured approach suggests that if Diggs is activated, it will be because he can perform at full capacity without jeopardizing himself or the team's strategy. In addition to Lamb, Clowney, and Diggs, several rotational players are being closely monitored. Malik Hooker's absence for personal reasons, while not fully explained, requires attention from the coaching staff to ensure coverage in the secondary remains robust. Jake Ferguson's limited participation reflects the reality of a compressed schedule and the physical toll that comes with multiple high-intensity games in a short span. The Cowboys staff must gauge whether players can sustain performance levels across 4 quarters, balancing the risk of overuse injuries against the necessity of having experienced players on the field. Similarly, Hunter Lipke and Savone Revel, both dealing with hip and knee concerns respectively, represent the sort of next-man-up scenarios that test the team's depth and adaptability. Their contributions, while less glamorous, could influence key special teams plays and situational defensive matchups. The Vikings present unique challenges that amplify the importance of these health evaluations. Their offensive line, now trending toward full strength, has enabled a level of performance that puts additional pressure on the Cowboys' defensive front. Passing lanes, running lanes, and quarterback mobility are all variables that Dallas must account for, and any absence or limitation among defensive players could be exploited by Minnesota's coordinators. This adds a layer of urgency to practice sessions and individual evaluations, as every snap in these limited settings provides critical information for game planning. The coaching staff has to prepare for multiple scenarios, including potential rotations at receiver, adjustments on the offensive line, and secondary matchups that could shift rapidly, depending on who is active and in what condition. CeeDee Lamb's progression through concussion protocol exemplifies how a single player's status can influence broader strategy. His participation, even in a restricted capacity, allows quarterbacks and coordinators to refine timing and coverage reads. When he is limited in practice, it provides a measured environment to observe response to contact and cognitive load, which helps determine game day readiness. Meanwhile, alternatives like George Pickens, Ryan Finnoy, and Jalen Tolbert must be prepared to adjust rapidly, as any sudden changes to the lineup require seamless integration into the playbook. This fluidity is essential in the NFL, where injuries are frequent and matchups are exploited by coaches with acute awareness of personnel availability. On the offensive side, the focus on the line's health underscores the domino effect that injuries can have on execution. High ankle sprains, like the one affecting Tyler Ton, are particularly concerning because they compromise mobility and leverage, essential components for both run blocking and pass protection. The Vikings' defensive front will challenge the line with stunts, twists, and aggressive edge techniques, making each lineman's readiness a pivotal factor in sustaining drives. If Ton cannot participate, adjustments in blocking schemes and additional support from tight ends or backs will be necessary. The coaching staff will need to analyze performance metrics from Wednesday and Thursday practices to finalize these decisions, balancing risk against the reward of having an experienced lineman in the rotation. Defensively, the Cowboys are managing a layered evaluation process. Players like Clowney and Diggs, when fully healthy, provide significant flexibility, allowing the staff to disguise coverages and create pressure without tipping hand formations. However, the nuances of timing, communication, and chemistry among secondary members require consistency in practice. Limited sessions do not only assess physical readiness. They also allow the team to rehearse assignments, rotations, and coverage calls that are vital against a versatile Vikings offense. The coaching staff's ability to integrate returning and rotational players effectively will be tested, and these practice reps are invaluable in reducing the likelihood of errors during high-pressure situations. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The whispers started as a flicker, just a vague murmur drifting through team facilities, until it suddenly erupted across the league like a bolt of Texas thunder. Explodio. Cowboys sign a surprise reinforcement and cut a veteran. No one saw it coming. Not scouts, not insiders, not even those self-proclaimed experts who insist they can read every front office move like a playbook. Yet here it is, sending shockwaves through conversations from locker rooms to late-night talk shows. According to people close to the situation, the Cowboys quietly brought in an unexpected name, a player whose profile had been drifting under the radar for months. The signing reportedly happened with unusual speed, almost as if the team wanted it wrapped before the rumor mill could catch up. Whatever the motivation, the move has sparked immediate debate among fans who are already picking apart clips, stats, and whispers from former teammates, trying to understand exactly what this new reinforcement brings. What truly fueled the commotion, however, was not just the addition but the subtraction. A seasoned veteran, long considered a stabilizing presence, was abruptly released to make room. The decision, described internally as strictly football, has left many wondering whether this signals a strategic shift or a deeper shakeup behind the scenes. Some insiders suggest the coaching staff have been quietly reevaluating roles for weeks. Others claim the front office acted the moment an opportunity too good to ignore appeared. This unexpected roster twist has triggered a wave of speculation about the Cowboys' long-term plans. Is this reinforcement a hidden gem poised for a breakout? A specialized weapon designed for specific schemes? Or perhaps simply the first domino in a series of moves still brewing beneath the surface? For now, the team remains silent, offering only carefully crafted statements that reveal nothing and hint at everything. Meanwhile, fans keep refreshing their feeds, analysts keep debating, and the entire league keeps glancing toward Dallas, waiting to see whether this sudden shakeup is a spark or the beginning of a firestorm. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.